the time when he was vice president, right? Whether Joe Biden was involved in Hunter Biden's business dealings at the time he served as vice president. Overall, if you look here, 61% of Americans think Joe Biden was involved. You can see partisanship drives this, right? Obviously, nearly all Republicans, 90%, believe that. This has been a major storyline and talking point on Fox News and elsewhere. 64% of independents believe that Biden was involved in Hunter's business dealings. 28% of Democrats. And I want to show you, of that 61% overall there that believe he had dealings, 42%, Dana, think that Joe Biden acted illegally when he was vice president in those business dealings. 38% say not involved. 18% said he acted unethically, but not illegally. But that is a significant number as well.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So I want to talk a little bit more about impeachment. I know that we're all done hearing about it. We've been done hearing about it for a long time. We just want to see it. We want action, less words. I get all that. But as you guys might be aware, the mainstream liberal media, they're shouting from just about every rooftop that they can find that there's no evidence, that supports an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. And just to clarify for them one more time, an impeachment inquiry, this is not the same as an impeachment. This is not an impeachment. All it is an investigation. And anyone who can hear that foreign nationals funneled almost $20 million to the president through offshore tax shelters, to basically, maybe not to the president, but to every member of his family, and anyone who could hear that and doesn't think that there should be an investigation, has got to be just afraid of what they'll find. That is the only reasonable explanation for not wanting that looked into. And regardless of what the media wants to tell us, we all know there is a mountain of circumstantial evidence that all combines to suggest that Joe Biden may have compromised the interests of the American people, you and me, by making foreign policy decisions when he was vice president that personally benefited him, his son, and his family. And anyway, we all know this. So I want to show you guys, I just want to enjoy together a minor little win that I think was pretty fun to watch. So Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, who basically both sides hate for initiating the inquiry, each for different reasons, of course, managed to corner a liberal reporter into actually admitting that there is indeed evidence to at least have an impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden. It's pretty awesome. I do feel sorry for the poor girl, you know, when it had to be tough when she actually show her face around the office. But this you have to see, guys. But before we do, thanks to everyone who's been subscribing and being a part of our community. Really, really appreciate it. This is an awesome journey together, guys. Take a look at this.
What impeachment inquiry is to do is to get answers to questions. Are you concerned about all the stuff that was just recently learned? Do you have any concern? Have you asked the White House any questions?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe the president lied to the American public when he said he'd never talked to his son about business dealings? Yes or no? It's all right.
I can't answer that.
You can't answer that? Do you believe when they said the president went on conference calls? Do you believe that happened?
That's what the testimony says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you believe the president went to Cafe Milano and had dinner with the clients of Hunter Biden, who believes he got those clients because he was selling the brand?
That's what the testimony says.
Okay. Do you believe Hunter Biden, when you saw the video of him driving a Porsche, that he got $143,000 to buy that Porsche the next day? Do you believe the $3 million from the Russian oligarch that was transferred to the shell companies that the Bidens controlled after the dinner from Cafe Milano took place?
So the testimony says.
Okay, then I go back. Do you think the president lied that he?
But is that an impeachable? Is lying an impeachable?
Well, you want to know. I'm not saying impeachment. All I'm saying is I would like to know answers to these questions. The American public ought to know, and that's what impeachment inquiry.
So yeah, I mean, I am genuinely convinced that the mainstream media is literally straight up lying to us, which is a freaking shocker, I know. But they are blatantly lying to people and pretending that there's no evidence because the Democrats and Joe Biden have instructed them to do that. They've basically begged them to assert that there's no evidence, that it's all a right-wing conspiracy. And not even, there's no circumstantial evidence, but doesn't exist. And, you know, they know, honestly, they know more about this circumstantial evidence than we do, guys. They know all about it. And let's be real, if this were Trump, they would never claim no evidence because they understand the distinction between circumstantial and direct. They know exactly what they're dealing with here, and they're treating the American people as if we're foolish, like we don't know any better. And the reason I believe this is because they're starting to crack, man. There are people like Sonny Hostin from The View who have twice now accidentally revealed the truth about the evidence against Joe and Hunter Biden. And this time, she even goes to acknowledging, the claims made by Tony Bobolinsky and people like that who literally told us that Joe's the big guy. And she actually uses the term big guy herself. Have a look.
What I don't believe is political prosecution are his business dealings in Ukraine and China. I think that's something that should be looked into. Now, they have looked into it for his association with the president for 5 years, and they haven't found anything. But I don't know how he was qualified to work in Ukraine, to work in China. And he also seemed to, in my opinion, present that he had access to his father. There were phone calls like, let's speak to the big guy. That's problematic. Yeah. Not as problematic as Jared getting $2 billion from the Middle East, and not as problematic as Ivanka getting all of those trademarks in China. That doesn't seem to be investigated.
I don't care about Hunter Biden, honestly. He's not running for president. He didn't get the Middle East. Biden's never appointed him to anything. No. And there's a lot of people in families that drop their daddy's name, their mom's name. They try to, the nepotism runs rich. But I was concerned if they have to come forward with some of the international business things. I hated the connection between Trump and Russia. That bothered me. In the name of consistency, anytime you have politicians dealing, like maybe it happens more than I realize.
Trump Jr. in Russia.
Right. But also right now, if there was something going on, which I believe there probably was with Hunter, whether they ever linked that to the president, I don't know. But if that's the case, I'd want to know that for sure.
Yeah, there's also
but the gun thing and the tax thing and to even put it on the same level of that,
it has an appearance of impropriety. As a matter of fact, this is a little piece of personal trivia. I believe I am the only White House reporter who asked about Hunter Biden and Burisma during the Obama administration, because as soon as that deal was announced that he was going on the board of Burisma, he was going to be paid about $50,000 a month. I went and I asked Jay Carney, who was then the White House press secretary. I said, his father is the vice president and he's in charge of Ukraine policy. Yeah. Isn't that at the very least unseemly? It may not be illegal, but I mean, come on.
What did Jay say?
So he said, well, he gave me basically a non-answer, saying that the vice president had nothing to do with this. Yeah. And that Hunter Biden's going to do what Hunter Biden's going to do.
And it got reviewed by the State Department, didn't it? Yeah. And approved, which I think it shouldn't have.
I mean, look, you can say this looks like sleazy, it doesn't look right, but the question is there anything illegal? And is there any evidence whatsoever that Joe Biden actually took part in this and profited? And there is
this
none.
as serious as what's going on with the Trump kids, with Jared and Ivanka? Which is more serious?
Well, Jared Kushner has an arrangement with the Saudis. It's a $2 billion venture capital fund, which he makes quite a bit of money off.
What did he have to give him for that?
Certainly, Jared's has been more lucrative than Hunter.
So yeah, man, she remembered for just a minute that she's actually a prosecutor, and she said the quiet part out loud. The liberal media is without doubt biased. We all know this, but covering the Bidens especially, which I still can't honestly figure out, except for the fact that, it's very, very difficult to admit when you've been lied to, when you've been used, which they most definitely have, but they can't cover them honestly, especially when it comes to Ukraine, especially when it comes to the impeachment inquiry, for whatever reason. They completely ignore evidence of Joe Biden's overseas influence. But they're cracking, like I said. And that's the problem with cover-ups and operations like this. When there's so many moving pieces, so many lies, so many circumstantial pieces to explain, they just can't. While you got people like Sonny, thinking they can keep just a little bit of credibility by acknowledging, what anyone with any common sense can actually see. So she might as well acknowledge it. You still have people like ABC's Joseph Curl completely dismiss it, like it doesn't even exist. Well, at the same time, trying to bring attention away from Joe and talk about Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. But here's the thing, man. They can deny, they can dismiss, they can what about all they want. The American people, we're not buying it. And polling for many, many years now shows that the American people, our trust in the media becomes less and less every time we turn on the TV, which is amazing. And it tells you, there really is a chance that we're going to make it through this. Joe Biden literally is going to bring down this entire system. And Obama was right, man. Elections do have consequences, but Anyway, I thought you guys would like to see that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. See you in the next one.